best golfer on the planet just said no. Not in a press conference, not through his agent, not buried in some corporate statement nobody reads. Scottie Scheffler looked at the most expensive, most ambitious plan ever built to reshape professional golf, and he refused it. 3 separate times, 3 different ways. And the man who built that plan, Brian Rolapp, now has a problem no amount of billionaire money can fix. His entire global vision needs one face to sell it, and that face just walked away. Now here's what makes this dangerous. Scheffler didn't scream, didn't threaten, didn't hire lawyers or leak stories to journalists. He simply stopped cooperating, quietly, firmly. And in golf, where the players aren't employees, where the players are the product, a quiet refusal from the world #1 hits harder than any lawsuit ever could. Rolapp spent months building a structure designed to turn the PGA Tour into a year-round, globe-trotting sports machine. Every piece of that structure depends on the top guys showing up, traveling, performing, being the face. Scheffler just removed himself from all of it. I think Scheffler is protecting something most people in boardrooms will never understand, and I want to know if you see it the same way. Drop your take below. 3 rejections. 3 moments where the best player in golf drew a line that Rolapp cannot cross. Each one targets a different piece of the global plan. Each one exposes something about where this tour is heading that should worry every fan who grew up loving this game for what it was, not what a football executive wants it to become. But the 3rd rejection? That's the one nobody saw coming, and it's the one that might actually kill the whole thing. To understand why that 3rd rejection could end everything, you need to see what Rolapp actually built. Because this isn't some small schedule tweak or a minor TV deal renegotiation. This is a complete teardown of how professional golf has operated for decades, replaced with something that looks a lot more like a franchise league than a tour. Rolapp walked in with $1.5 billion from the Strategic Sports Group. That's the Fenway Sports Group, the Kraft family, the Arnauds, people who own NFL teams, people who build billion-dollar sports products for a living. They didn't write that check to protect tradition. They wrote it to build something that scales, something that travels, something that fills stadiums in Sydney and Singapore the same way it fills them in Scottsdale. The centerpiece is the 2-tier system launching in 2028, a championship series with the top 120 players, bigger purses, prime broadcast slots. Then a challenger series underneath it, smaller fields, less money, less visibility, traditional events, tournaments that have been on the schedule for 30, 40, 50 years, suddenly fighting for relevance in the 2nd tier. The Canadian Open, Colonial, events with history that money can't replicate, now treated like minor league fixtures. Think about what that means for the players sitting outside the top 120, the guys grinding every week just to keep their cards, the guys who built their entire careers around earning a spot at these traditional events. Overnight, the tournament they dreamed about playing becomes a 2nd-tier stop. The purse shrinks, the broadcast window shrinks, the world stops watching. 30 years of building a career toward one specific week, and suddenly that week doesn't matter anymore. That's not progress. That's erasure. Then comes the global push, co-sanctioning the Australian Open, building a year-round international calendar that keeps the product running 12 months instead of 9. Rolapp wants golf on every continent, every quarter, every time zone. He wants it everywhere. He wants the same 120 names showing up in Melbourne, in Dubai, in London, in Tokyo. He wants the brand recognizable in markets where golf has never been the primary sport. The vision is massive. The investment is real. The machinery is already in motion. Everywhere except where Scheffler wants to be. Everyone on tour saw this structure coming and adjusted their lives around it. One player looked at the same blueprint and decided the blueprint was wrong. That decision started with the simplest word in any language: no. Rolapp needed a globe-trotting ambassador, someone to fly to Melbourne, to Dubai, to Tokyo, someone to stand at podiums in 6 countries and sell the new PGA Tour to the world. The natural choice was obvious. The world #1, the most dominant player of this era, the guy whose name sells tickets on every continent. Scheffler said he's content staying close to home. That's not a negotiation tactic. That's not leverage for a bigger contract. That is a man telling the most powerful executive in golf, I'm not your traveling salesman. The global plan requires a face that shows up everywhere. Scheffler just told that face belongs in Texas, not on a plane to the other side of the world. Think about what that means for the entire structure. Without that face, the international expansion loses its anchor. You can co-sanction the Australian Open. You can build new events in Asia. You can pour hundreds of millions into marketing across 4 continents. But if the best player on earth isn't there, who's the audience tuning in to watch? The entire global push was designed around star power being present in every market. Scheffler just removed himself from every market that isn't his own. The sponsors who signed on expecting Scheffler's name on the marquee in Singapore, they just lost their headline act. The broadcasters who paid premiums for a global product anchored by the world number one, they're now selling a product missing its most valuable asset. Rolapp could absorb one player skipping a few events. Losing the world number one from the entire international strategy is a different kind of damage. The second rejection hit closer to the soul of the sport. Rolapp's plan doesn't just change where golf is played, it changes how golf feels. The new model treats tournaments like stadium events. Louder crowds, more entertainment, more of that charged-up, rowdy energy you see at NFL games. Rolapp comes from that world. He built Thursday Night Football into a cultural event. He wants to do the same thing to golf. He wants the energy of a packed stadium on the 18th green. Then Wyndham Clark got heckled during a final round, fans screaming mid-backswing. Beer-fueled garbage shouted at a man trying to hit a 3-iron over water. The kind of behavior that belongs in a football tailgate, not on a championship golf course. Scheffler was asked about it afterward. His answer was short: "I can't control fan behavior. Being in the arena is not for everybody." Read that again. He didn't say, "We need better crowd management." He didn't say, "Fans should be more respectful." He said, "The arena is not for everybody." That's a philosophical rejection. That's the world number one looking at the CEO's vision of what golf should become and saying, "That's not golf." Golf is quiet. Golf is tension built through silence. Golf is 20,000 people holding their breath over a 4-foot putt. Turn it into a stadium, and you kill the very thing that makes it different from every other sport on television. Scheffler knows this. He's lived it his entire career, and he refused to pretend otherwise. And here's what makes that rejection so dangerous for Rolapp. The arena model isn't just a fan experience choice, it's a revenue model. Louder events sell more beer, more merchandise, more premium seating. The whole financial projection depends on turning golf into a spectacle. If the best player in the world publicly says spectacles don't belong here, that's not just an opinion. That's a warning to every sponsor thinking about buying into the new format. Two pieces of the plan already rejected. The ambassador role, gone. The arena culture, refused. Rolapp still had one card left to play. The third rejection is the one that cuts deepest, because it attacks the competitive integrity of the entire new model. Rolapp's structure promises a season-long race, a narrative arc from January to September, fans following the same 120 players all year, building toward a climax. That's the pitch. That's what sells the TV deal. That's what keeps subscribers watching in July when the stakes should feel highest. Scheffler looked at the format and said, "You can't call it a season-long race and have it come down to one tournament." He said it publicly, not in a private meeting, not whispered to a journalist. He said it to cameras, knowing exactly who was watching. The new model wants to crown a champion through a single final event, a match play showdown that resets everything. 11 months of consistency, erased in 1 week. Every birdie, every saved par, every grinding Thursday afternoon, all of it wiped clean for a bracket. That statement undermines the entire competitive foundation of Rolapp's plan. If the best player in golf says the format is dishonest, that's not an opinion. That's a verdict. And it's a verdict that every fan who has ever followed a season-long points race just heard and agreed with. You don't get to call it a marathon and then decide the winner with a sprint. Scheffler said that out loud, on the record, knowing it would land exactly where it needed to land. 3 quiet refusals. No lawyers, no lawsuits. Just a man who knows what golf is, standing still while a billion-dollar machine tries to move him. Here's the part most people miss about this situation. Rolapp has $1.5 billion. He has the most powerful sports investors on the planet behind him. He has media relationships that took 20 years to build. On paper, he holds every card. He has the money, the infrastructure, the broadcast partners, the global reach. Everything a CEO needs to force change through an organization. Except one thing. Rolapp himself said it early in his tenure. In golf, the players are the owners, not employees, not contracted talent. Owners. The product eyes the players. Without them, there is no tour. Without the tour, there is no TV deal. Without the TV deal, the $1.5 billion has nowhere to go. The investors didn't write that check for a logo. They wrote it for names, faces, performances, moments that make people care. Scheffler isn't just a player in this system. He is the system right now. His name on every leaderboard. His consistency driving every narrative. His presence. The reason fans buy tickets and networks pay rights fees. Remove him from the global equation, and the equation collapses. You can't build a worldwide sports product around a player who won't travel. You can't sell an arena experience to a player who just told you arenas don't belong in golf. You can't crown a season-long champion through a format that player just called dishonest. And the broadcast partners see this too. The networks paying billions for PGA Tour rights aren't paying for a logo or a schedule. They're paying for Scheffler's name in the Sunday afternoon slot. They're paying for the moment he walks up to the 18th green with a one-shot lead and 20 million people watching. If that player publicly rejects the format they're broadcasting, the networks start asking questions. Uncomfortable questions. Questions about whether the product they bought is the product they're getting. The clock is now ticking on a decision that will define whether this tour remembers what it is or forgets permanently. Because this stopped being about money a long time ago. Colonial, the Canadian Open, the Phoenix Open. These aren't just dates on a schedule. They're 50 years of history. They're the reason a kid in Fort Worth grows up dreaming about walking those fairways. They're the reason a family in Toronto plans their summer around 1 week in June. They're the reason a grandfather in Arizona still talks about the shot he saw in 1987 like it happened yesterday. Reduce them to second-tier events. Push them off the main broadcast. Treat them like filler between the real money stops. And those kids stop dreaming. Those families stop planning. And 50 years of meaning evaporates in a single boardroom decision. You can't manufacture that kind of connection. You can't build it with a checkbook. You can't create it in a boardroom presentation with growth projections and market analysis. It takes decades. It takes generations of fans showing up to the same course, sitting in the same spots, watching their kids grow up between the ropes. That's what Scheffler is protecting. Not his schedule, not his brand. The thing that makes golf feel like golf, and not just another sport fighting for your Sunday afternoon. Scheffler sees that. Whether you agree with his methods or not, the man is fighting for something bigger than his own schedule. He's fighting for the idea that golf is not a content product. It's not a streaming asset to be optimized across 12 time zones. It's a game with roots in specific places, specific communities, specific traditions that no amount of capital can manufacture. You can build a new stadium. You cannot build a tradition. You can sign a media deal. You cannot sign a legacy. Rolapp sees numbers, ratings, growth curves, market penetration. He's not wrong about business. He's not evil. He genuinely believes this is how golf survives in a world where every sport is fighting for attention. From his chair, shaking things up is the only option. Standing still means dying slowly. He looked at what the NFL did, what the Premier League did, and decided golf needs the same medicine. Both men have a point. Both men believe they're saving the game. Only one version of golf gets to survive what comes next. Golf has been at crossroads before. Never with this much money on one side and this much silence on the other. This is where the full picture comes together. Scheffler rejected the ambassador role because the global plan needs a face that won't travel. He rejected the arena culture because golf's identity lives in silence, not noise. He rejected the format because you can't build a season on a lie. 3 rejections. 1 player. A $1.5 billion structure that cannot stand without him holding it up. That's what happened. That's what's happening right now. Not a lawsuit. Not a press war. Not a tweet. Just the best player in the world, quietly removing the foundation from under a plan that was never built for someone like him. The global push needs a star who travels. The arena model needs a player who embraces noise. The season format needs a champion who believes in it. Scheffler said no to all 3. And in a sport where the players are the owners, no is the most powerful word there is. If you want to know what Rolapp does next, because this story is far from finished, hit subscribe. The next move hasn't been made yet, and when it lands, you'll hear it here first. So where does that leave every fan watching this unfold? You're not just observing a business dispute. You're watching a decision get made about what golf is going to be for the next 20 years. The tour can chase the global model, build the franchise structure, turn every event into a content opportunity. Or it can listen to the player who has done more for the game in 3 years than most players do in a career, and remember why people fell in love with this sport in the first place. I don't know which way it goes. Nobody does. Not the board, not the investors, not even Rolapp himself. But I know this. The next time Scheffler tees it up, every fan watching will be looking at something different than they did 6 months ago. They'll be looking at a man who said no to $1 billion because he believed the game deserved better than what was being offered. That's not a business decision. That's a statement about what matters. Drop your thoughts below. Is Scheffler right to hold the line, or does golf need to evolve or die? I read every comment, and this conversation is one worth having. If you made it this far, you care about this game the same way I do. That's exactly who this channel is for. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you for the next chapter. Because whatever Rolapp does next, it's going to change everything. When that next move lands, the entire future of professional golf shifts with it.